Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush aamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Pakhairagale, ni hao, tunashume, washmale, ohaya, genzaimis, guten morgen, hola, boyor, privyet, kaifahal, hale shama chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suaviam, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning on a Saturday morning, which is a very special thing, ladies and gentlemen. But with me, I have the very scintillating, the very exuberant Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello, Shiza. How are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely great. Thank you for asking. And it's actually funny. Remember just yesterday when we were closing the show, we spoke about how we're going to meet on Monday next. Well, this is a surprise for all of you out there.
Yeah.
But there's a certain reason why we're here.
Yeah, and do you want to give it away or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you do it. Okay.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, obviously there needs to be a reason when we're doing a show where we are only supposed to do a show from Monday to Friday.
Weekdays, yes.
So and I think that the reason is a very important one as well, because of the fact that whenever we talk about Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, the people over here, they want to do quite a lot, and they always make sure that they go out of the box, they go out of their way, they go an extra mile to make sure that they make Pakistan proud in every kind of work they're doing.
Absolutely.
So today, ladies and gentlemen, it happens to be for the very first time the Global Movie Day, or the week itself as well. But ladies and gentlemen, today we are here to celebrate the movie makers all over the globe. And not just that, I think that there's a reason to observing this day as well. Yeah, Shiza, you want to add on? Go
Right,
ahead.
yeah, and when you're talking about, Global Movie Day, Shahzad, this was actually just this year when the Academy realized, okay, let's have a specific day to celebrate the art, to actually remember all the movies that we've loved over a period of, 100 and more years as well. So that is what we're doing, and this is always going to be observed on the second Saturday of February, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Remember that from now on. And I really like the fact, Shahzad, that you specifically spoke about Pakistani movies, because we love, celebrating and sharing Pakistani talent every other day on our show as well.
Yeah.
And today we will be, particularly talking about what we see on cinema screens, on our TV screens, yes? Or just cinema?
Yes.
Okay. And I have a question to begin with, actually, Shahzad,
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
today we are actually remembering all the movies that we've loved, what we've taken away from them. So can you name one of the movies that you love so much you can actually rewatch countless times without getting tired of it?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to name that movie. And before I do that, ladies and gentlemen, I think Shiza over here has hit the nail on the head as well. Because movies over here in Pakistan do not run in cinemas for that long. So, the TV premiere is actually expected sooner.
And it's most
I'm
awaited
sorry,
as well.
but I think that this is one of those aspects which we really need to discuss today as well.
Absolutely.
But other than that, talking about a film, and ladies and gentlemen, since we're talking about films today or movies today as well, I don't think that we really need to mention all those films which were made in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Even though that
Art has no borders,
The
actually.
film which was actually made by Nabil too as well, which was, I don't remember the name, but it was the first of its kind as well, and it did very well. There was Fahd Mustafa and Javed Sheikh Saab. I think
it
was
Namalum Afraad?
Yeah, it was Namalum Afraad. It was a
Loved
great film.
it.
But other than that, I think that the film which I can watch over and over again is Battleship. That's the kind of films I love to watch because I take inspiration from them.
Yeah.
But other than that, coming down to Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, I think that the film producers have invested a lot in recent years
Right,
to make sure
absolutely.
that that the cinema actually propels to a better future. But unfortunately, that's something which is not very viable these days. A producer is going to make a film, wouldn't make a film again if, God forbid, the film does not work. And how can a film work when we are only releasing the film out of 169 screens in probably 70 screens, and that too when we're not even given the good show timings as well? Imagine you released a film and your show time is 4 or 7
Right.
or 11, so I
Right.
think that we really need to get into the nitty-gritty of it. But then at the same time, how do we actually observe the Global Movie Day, ladies and gentlemen? For that, I think everybody needs to recommend at least 10 films,
yes.
that which you need to watch, or if you haven't watched. So let's get started and let's talk about where the movie or the film industry is in Pakistan. Where do we aspire to be? What do we want to do? And do you think that the practices of a few film producers are right when they ask from their own actors for money as well? Do you think that this needs to be done, or do you think that it needs to be a collaboration? Do you think that it needs to be a collaborative effort amongst all of those people as well? So we will dig into it.
Yeah, while that is all true, Shahzad, and I think we definitely need to dig in deeper into that. But there are two sides, right? Moving on towards the audience's side as well. I don't feel like Pakistani audience specifically is up for the big screen. I mean, hardly few of my friends or hardly few of the people we know would actually plan to go out to cinemas and theaters to watch something, like you mentioned in the beginning, they would wait for it to air on TV or, well, you know, internet, our best friend, why not, right? But I really have to take this point actually to appreciate the cinematography that Pakistan is actually venturing into. This was just last year on Eid, I think. I was watching Maya Ali's movie Parihat Love, and it was brilliant to watch. Like the aesthetics and everything, it was just wow. The storyline we definitely need to talk about, but I think there are so many things we can appreciate today, and I absolutely love the legends of the Alayar as well, and I think a lot of kids as well loved it, and to believe that the entire team, the animators as well, the colorist as well, everyone was Pakistani. I am so proud of that.
Yeah, it's great. And then one more thing, ladies and gentlemen, and that is that I think that, you know, world over, when we see faces, I mean, for example, when we talk about the people who have actually done lead roles in films, I think that they have this aura, this charisma, and then there are several TV channels who actually talk about them every single day as well.
Right.
Unfortunately, over here in Pakistan, politicians are actually bigger celebrities than people who are on television or people who are on the cinema screen as well. And believe me that if one of the producer one day gets a chance to actually hire Sheikh Rashid to do one film, just imagine the kind of business they're going to do. So
and imagine the amount of people that will go to watch that movie.
Exactly, but I think that, you know, that the TV channels and all of those people who are doing these shows on films and on actors, they really need to be more focused as well. The television needs to give more attention towards cinema so that people come in and people start watching films as well. We really need that, but then other than that, I think that over here, well, I mean, these are the things which I observed while I was growing up as well. And now when we see or we meet the producers very closely and we watch the films, and that is that, you know, if one formula film is actually a hit on the, what do we call it? Is it box office? Yes. Thank you very much for saving my life. Yeah. So if one of the film does well, you know, every other producer wants to produce a film on that same particular formula. Will it work or not? So what do we need to do to be out of the box? Do we really need to get singers from across the border? Do we really need to have a few actors from across the border for larger screen value as well?
We don't do that usually.
Yeah, I think we can, because if they can do it, we can do it as well. We have one of the producers who actually got Hollywood actors into his film as well. We'll be in conversation. So ladies and gentlemen, to get the conversation started on this particular day, which is being observed worldwide for the very first time, we are a part of it. Thank you very much to our boss as well for giving us this airtime. But I think it was important, ladies and gentlemen. He's a writer, he's a producer himself. He's none other than Mr. Tariq Awan. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And alongside Mr. Tariq, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by a producer and a director himself. He's none other Mr. Uzair Zahir Khan. He's looking forward to a film, to release a film in 2020 as well. Hello, assalamu alaikum, and best of luck.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me.
And also congratulations on Alayar that you already made, and this is what I was speaking about in the beginning as well. I have actually so many questions.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you liked it.
Thank you very much for that as well. And alongside that, ladies and gentlemen, this guy, I think I need to take another...
He's all over Islamabad.
Yeah, I need to take another extra minute to talk about him, because this gentleman, he's got a lovely personality. I've seen him in different shows as well. You know, he's producing, he's providing half of Pakistan with all the equipment he's got. He's building up on that. Not just that, he's working very closely with ISPR too. That's where we started to meet. Then he's all over the restaurants, meetups. He's a social guy.
And he's a family man as well.
Yeah, he's a family man. But then at the same time, what I loved about him the most is that he's very honest with when it comes to critique. And he's very honest when it comes down to valuing somebody's work as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he's now the Mr. Hassan Naeem from Blink Studios as well. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much for having us here.
How are you?
Doing very well.
It's good to have you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for the kind words as well.
No problem. And last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, so once I was in trouble, and was bigger trouble, he was the gentleman who actually came to my place in the first place as well, just to ask. So and you know, even though that the aura and the personality he's got, it's larger than life.
Yeah.
He's always out there thinking about newer ideas. He made one film, massively hit. He made another one, nobody went to watch it. I'm sorry if I'm saying it on television as well, but something went wrong, because that formula didn't work out the second time. Why? That's something which we'll be asking him, but he definitely was the trendsetter when the film industry was actually revolutionizing over here in Pakistan. He was one of those people who actually shared the kind of vision he had for the film industry or the movie industry as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he's none other than, people know him as Doc as well, but he's Dr. Hassan Rana as well. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
I'm fine. How
Good
are
morning.
you, Shadad?
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. We're very sorry that we are unable to give coffee to you guys because it's for after the show, because then we do not know what to do.
Right.
But then let's build up on this as well. How do you, what will be your thoughts about when I'm going to say that for the very first time we're observing Global Movie Day?
I think it's a wonderful tradition which is in making, and I can see like this. It is not only announced for this year, but up to year two for the next 10 years. So
Right.
I think this is a beautiful tradition in making.
Right,
And
absolutely.
that's great as
agreed.
well. So let's get the conversation started very quickly. That's how we're going to get the conversation started with you. Where are we in terms of cinema when we talk about it? Are the producers really happy? Are the actors really happy? Are the audiences happy?
That's a very complicated question.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Because there's so many stakeholders involved. And I can talk very confidently from a producer's point of view. I think that Pakistani cinema is progressing
Yes,
really
of course.
nicely. And, but like you said, cinema trend isn't there as yet. So we're catering to a very small percentage of people. For the film industry to do well, we need a lot more people going to the cinema, which isn't happening at this moment. We need a lot more cinemas for that matter. But slowly and steadily, I think we are inching forward. And as you can see, a lot of second-time filmmakers, when they come back with bigger, better films. And so the audience needs to give us a little bit of time to hone our artwork, basically because we haven't been doing this for a long time. We had like a huge chunk of time period where nobody was making films. So in a way, this is like a fresh start.
And you know, this actually reminds me of a person, I'm so sorry I cannot recall the name. There was an artist on our show, and they spoke about how the audience needs to appreciate the producers and the people, everyone who works in films, because they are doing it out of passion. In our, in our country especially, there's not a certain huge market that will benefit you in ways that, other artists usually do. So if this is passion that they're pursuing, I feel like everyone watching, even if not watching, they should go out and watch and promote and actually sort of encourage with what they're doing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is unfair of the filmmakers to expect the audiences to watch a film just because they've put in a lot of effort. Films around the world work on merit.
Yes, of
so
course.
if a film is good, they'll go watch it. Same thing with the exhibitioners, like you said, whether Pakistani films get enough time in cinemas, enough screens. I think they are running a business. And so if there's a demand for a film, they will put it up because they want to earn money.
Right.
But if there is no demand, I think it's unfair of the producer to demand from the cinema that they should put more shows because those shows would be empty. Nobody would want to watch those films. So I think you can't force the audience. You can't make them feel sorry for you.
Yeah, that's true.
That we spend
Really
so
have
much
to sell
money,
that
we put so much
content as well.
effort, so now you have to go see it. But at the same time, I would say that since we are at a nascent stage, I think that maybe a little bit of concession is required at this stage for us to get up on our feet.
Of course.
And maybe they need to give films a chance before they decide.
Right.
That because trailers alone, marketing itself does not like specify or I think fully represent the sort of film. So so I think we need a helping hand.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, since we're saying it on television as well, so we hope that you take something away at least. They need a little bit of concession, and it needs to be given to as well. But Hassan, by moving on to you, now the kind of I actually want to understand the mindset of a filmmaker. Now I'm going to I'll ask you two things. First, obviously, where do you think that the film industry over in Pakistan started deteriorating? What was the reason behind it? And then other than that, coming down to the very mindset of it, I was in conversation with a very younger star. He sings very well. He's into dramas. He comes to the same gym. So I was discussing whether he's working on some project or not. So he told me that he was in conversation with a producer from back in the days in 80s and 90s. And he was like that, okay, I've got a script for you. I want you to be the lead role, to do the lead role as a hero. And then upon his asking, who's actually going to be the heroine, and the producer said Saima. So, do you think that such combinations can actually work now, or such favors are going to work when we talk about screens in general, what people really need to see? How can a boy adjust alongside Saima ji? I mean, very respectful. But then at the same time, how does it work? What kind of combinations are we working on? Are we still giving out favors to people's wives, or things like that? Why are we working in such a manner?
It's a very interesting question you were asked. That how did Pakistani cinema come to this point?
Where we still need concession,
Yeah. The good thing is that Pakistani nation, we love drama, and we like stories, right? So everybody sitting here, being producer, is actually a consumer of movies, and movies has this magic, and this whole thing started with having a global movie day, which of course has to be there to have, which is such an integral part of our cultures now, not just Pakistan but region and globally. And we are all product of what we consume, and the stories we like to look at.
Yeah.
Pakistani cinema, I'm unable to answer this, that when it started declining, but probably when there's protectionism and less story, content is coming from abroad, so your screens are not competing, so different kind of cinema, and the audience starts dictating the kind of content which is made, and whatever flies, whatever can sell tickets, that kind of thing is encouraged. So those people also become stars. You were saying that combination of those stars and the newer stars, which we somehow feel that are more talented, or maybe are more on merit than just popular.
Yeah.
So, but that's also a question to ask. Okay, is it a fair question? But overall, Pakistani cinema is doing slightly inching ahead, and in the last almost 12-13 years, we have seen cinema screens from single cinema to multiplexes to world-class facilities. A lot of people have invested a lot of money in providing us almost next to what we see in Dubai or anywhere else in UK, and those kind of screens and the digital projectors and 5.1, 7.1, and great options of having 5 multiplexes sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And that being said, and a lot of producers have also stepped up, and a lot of content which has come up to the standard. Doc is sitting with it. He tried to really take the benchmark of production, especially very difficult genre, action, to at probably 1/50 the budget of Hollywood, try to deliver that. But pretty good. In animation, there is here 2 movies, Alayar and then The Donkey King.
Yeah.
We actually hit really the world-class standards, and showed that it can be done. Shiza actually hit and then Uzair also seconded, has hit the nail on the head, that there's a culture, the movie-going culture is not there as yet.
I'll give you a very short example, then you can of course continue. Speaking of binge, Roy, the number of people that watched the movie first were very few, and then it became a drama. Entire Pakistan watched it, the entire world watched it, and then people came to know the content, the storyline, they loved it, right? Yeah. So it's really about the culture.
It's really about the culture, and we like to see it on smaller screen, and we like this is actually a changing trend that everybody wants to watch it at convenience, and now you even see that live television is everybody's seeing it on internet and or YouTube, on demand more or less. So that's actually a changing trend, and that's the reality of it. One has to accept it, but cinemas will have its place.
Yeah.
And at least we like to believe for another 15-20 years that there will be an industry on this, and those kind of content will go out. I was discussing it with a couple of seniors of the industry yesterday to get some facts and figures.
Yeah.
We ironically do not treat any sort of a thing as a scientific way to understand how the dynamics works. And on the green room you were discussing that Indian films are released on 2,500 screens and Hollywood screen. America has probably 48,000 cinemas in across the whole land. China has surpassed at 50,000. Pakistan 169, 78 locations, film releases on 40 screens,
Yep.
limited scale, and plus we have a language deficit. It's specific. Although a lot of population internationally, diaspora, Indian and Pakistani, see it in Canada, America, or UK, and whatever. But that's not really a big number, so you don't get main screens.
Yeah.
But our content is appreciated whenever it is seen. So that's a balance which we as producers and as exhibitors are trying to attain.
Right.
So it will be an ongoing.
And
battle.
that's great. I think that we really got the skin of the hair over here while Hassan Saab was speaking about it. But let me move on to Doc. So Doc, everybody's mentioned, and we all know the kind of work you've produced for all of us and for Pakistani cinema, especially talking about War 2 as well, because when everybody went in to watch War, obviously it was very hyped as well. Everybody loved the film. It was a massive hit. And then comes Yalgar as well. And that was a very different experience for everybody. So
allow me to correct you.
Sure. Why not?
I'm sorry. I don't know what's the parameter of success that you've created. Yalgar till to date is the third highest grossing film in a week.
Did it do better than War?
Yes.
Okay,
it did.
so Yalgar was better than War.
It did in the first week. It did about 14.6 crore rupees.
Wow.
In week
amazing.
one.
Yeah.
And the overall closing of the film was at about 29 crore rupees.
Wow.
So yes, probably people are judging me from my previous success, but yeah, it didn't. In terms of
Come
the
across
budget
that
of
way.
it,
Yeah.
I think probably it was not marketed, or the success of it was not that much marketed. And War, reason why I think Yalgar did much better, because Yalgar did it against 10 other films.
Yes.
Right.
When War came on, there was only one other
War,
film,
yeah.
and you have to understand something. And I'm really sorry that actually, unfortunately, I would disagree. Mostly not with what Hassan has said, because he's just had always been a proponent, and he's one of the reasons actually I'm sitting here right now.
Yeah.
Because if this guy didn't exist in Islamabad, War would have never existed.
Okay.
So it's as much his success as it is mine.
Wow, that's a big compliment for you, though.
Yeah.
No, actually,
I'm sitting very
he-
close to him, so he has to be kind to me.
And you're sitting close to him too as well.
It's not that I did
can
have an
actually-
idea. I did have an idea of doing things, but I wanted to make a documentary. But it was him who actually pushed me to get it, and all the equipment, everything. That actually, if it was not him, then I probably would not have been able to achieve what I wanted to achieve. So coming back to it, when I made War, the last film to War was actually Khuda Ke Liye, which the total box office of Khuda Ke Liye was about 6.24 crore rupees. The total
That was a
box
massive hit, though.
Yes, but it was 6.24 crore rupees on basically very limited screens. But it did massively well. That was the most
Yes.
successful film prior to that. And before that, it was Chudiyan. Chudiyan had about 18.4, 18.5 crore rupees, but that was again a massive success because of the reason that the ticket price when Chudiyan came in was actually much less to what we
Right.
had. So they did about 18 crore rupees when the ticket price was about 100, 120 rupees. Now, the point that I'm trying to make, that the world generally has been made by greater fools.
Okay.
And the concept of the greater fool is basically an economics concept. The concept of greater fool is that you think that you'll succeed where others have failed. So when I started making War, the total market size of War, and Nadeem Mandiwala Sahab was the distributor, and I asked him, I met him somewhere. So he told me that if your film was to run like 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
for 6 months straight, the total box office size is actually 8 crore rupees.
Okay.
And at that time, my budget for War was 17 crores.
Yeah.
So it was turning out to be the most expensive home movie ever made.
Right.
And that's the thought process I actually went with. But in order to change something, somebody has to take a step. And I'm very glad, I think that I'm very happy that when you find the genesis of the new cinema, you'd probably end up at War.
Right,
Which,
right.
after which, the success of War actually propelled other cinema screens to come through, other producers to come through to make films. And
Okay.
people thought that, yes, there could be success which could be made.
Yeah.
All of your participants have said something which is very true. Yes, you can't compel the audience to come to watch a film.
Yeah.
Whenever there's going to be a new film which is going to bring something to you, yes, people will come and they'll watch the films. he had always, Hassan has always said that yes, we need to develop the culture of going to cinemas. Yes, we need to develop that. But today, this film day, I am going to tell you that cinema in this country will never grow.
Okay, and you have like, can
And I
you
think I'm
pinpoint
going
a
to
And
agree
reason?
on this
allow
as
me,
well.
no,
I'm
no,
going to
allow me
agree
to
on this.
qualify it. Allow me to
Yeah.
qualify
Yeah,
it.
yeah, please.
I'm sitting here with my combined box office of both my films is about 50.2 crore rupees,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
War was released in 2013. Yalgaz was released in 2017. Till to date, I'm still owed $1.9 million.
Yeah.
Okay,
That has not been given to me.
okay,
So it's not about the success of the film or not. Now, Allah Yar could have done 10 rupees,
okay,
or it could have done $1 billion rupees.
Okay.
But if he's not going to get his money back, how is he going to make another film? Yes, on every other cinema. And
Right.
you, as Pakistani producer, from day one, his hands are tied at the back. We are told to compete against, the budget of a Pakistani film still to date
Yeah.
is actually equivalent to one song that the Indians make.
oh,
These are the numbers, and you can't really deny them.
okay,
Yeah.
The animation films that we have made here, I mean, just look at the numbers that they are competing against.
Yes.
So here is the split that a producer is looking at. 55 to 60% goes to the cinema, right?
okay,
20% goes to your distributor.
Yeah.
So in order for me to my film to break even, I
Yes.
need to do 300% business
Yeah.
just to break even. And after that, if I don't even put in commercial costs,
right,
that money will not come back to me. Whether it's a penny, whether it is a pound,
Okay.
as long as you do not get that penny or a pound, you are not going to ask me to make another film.
Exactly.
Because the math doesn't add up.
Right, of
And as
course.
long as we do not correct that maths, we do not understand how that mathematics is going to work.
Okay.
And that is why your cinema is suffering.
Okay.
That is why your distributor is suffering today, because they relied heavily on Indian films, because they thought there is no requirement of Pakistani cinema producers to be developed.
Yeah.
So they never developed you.
Yep.
So they buried you. And they were relying heavily on, because they were getting a film that they paid 100% in advance for.
Exactly.
From across the border, they were coming in. So it was the easiest gig on planet Earth.
right,
So they were making about 200, 300% profit on it.
Right.
Really didn't have to pay the producers also. And if they do well. Otherwise, if you look at it, each and every producer who had started making a film from his own pocket died.
Yeah. That's true too.
eventually, yes, of course, okay.
As well, thank you very much for explaining it.
I just want to add one more thing.
So wonderfully, and I think the majority of the people over here are going to agree to this as well. But since we're very short on time, we've highlighted the issues and the problems on this particular day. But now what we want to do is we really want to ask about the kind of projects you're doing.
Yeah.
Because Alhamdulillah, if you guys are here, you're not buried, right? You're doing something, you're making sure that the cinema is actually going to work, and we will continue with that as well. So
course.
Tariq Saab, let's talk about Thodi Setting Thoda Pyar. Well, first of all, the kind of name you picked up for film is very amazing. So
It's-
first,
yeah,
ladies and
it's-
gentlemen, we'll go share the trailer.
Let's do
When
it.
you guys will come back, we'll talk about Thodi Setting or Thoda Pyar. I think it's पहले setting होती है और फिर ही प्यार होता है. So let's take a look.
फिजाओं में हवाओं में सदाओं में निगाहों में मेरी गुलपोश राहों में तमन्ना की पनाहों में प्यार ही प्यार है प्यार ही प्यार है प्यार ही प्यार मिल गया वो था जिसका
It's a rom-com, right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that was one. These were the few visuals from the movie song Thodi Setting Thoda Pyar. But let's get to Tariq Saab over here. So Tariq Saab, tell us a little about this project of yours.
I work for a multinational company, so I'm here in Pakistan on the call of Imran Khan.
Yeah.
I'm like bringing a foreign investment. At the same time, my attempt is to produce a fresh content. Definitely this film is going to be different than, I'm not big fan of formula film. I would not go for formula film.
But the kind of romance number we saw, I think that it actually resembles the formula. I'm sorry, but that's how it is.
Well, it is a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
So romantic comedy needs to have romantic songs and it needs to have a romance.
Yeah.
And it needs to have a comedy.
That's great.
So my understanding is that people in Pakistan like the entertaining film.
Yeah.
So what we have tried to produce is an entertaining film which caters both on the comedy side as well as on the romance side.
Yeah.
So it is not a formula film. The whole technique and whole there's a fresh idea, and I mean the tendency here in Pakistan is that whatever happens in our neighboring country, we try to follow it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we produce.
In terms of cinema, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of cinema,
Yeah.
we follow that trend, and so much so that we copy paste it.
Yeah.
Some
Even
of the
they
big
do.
names you were taking, that was also a big
Yeah.
copy paste. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring in a fresh content.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to do a copy paste thing.
Well, that's great. So talking about that, you're very right that, people over here love comedy, people love watching such films. But imagine that you will be giving a romantic comedy to a society where our parents have never said to each other that I love you. In all of
But-
my age, I have never heard one of my parents saying it to another one. So do you think that the romance will be well perceived by the audiences
But can I
who are
add
not really
something?
accustomed to public display of romance anyways?
So if I can add something and
Yeah,
then you can of
sure.
course answer. I feel like this is going to work in favor of, I'll tell you why. Because the generation or the people that you're
Or
talking
people who
about.
are in love only, I think.
No, but they grew up watching or secretly watching stage dramas, which is basically funny, and sometimes there's an element of, I don't know, love or something. So I think I'm vying for this rom-com. I feel like it's going to be on a lighter note and people are actually going to enjoy it. If actually
That's what we want.
No, that's what I'm telling you, Shazad. If XYZ people can actually go to watch a live stage drama, I'm pretty sure they can watch something way better being offered in a respectful
But
theatre.
in live stage drama, they can see that women dancing live in front of them. That's what attracts them in a theatre play. I'm sorry, but I have to be honest over here. Sir, come on. I mean, you have to come back to me now.
Okay. There is a lot of water which has passed under the bridge from the time of your father's time
Yeah.
and where we are standing
Yeah.
today. The phones and the mobile phones have changed.
Yes.
The
dynamics.
internet, the dynamics. The romance is one thing in the air in Pakistan now. You open a Facebook and it is all about romance. People are trying to reach each other and
Slip it in DMs.
exactly. So the times have changed, and there is a lot. I have tried to kind of build it into the current reality, what is happening, and and my story is more about the university students and the university life. So it is, and university is one romance for all generations,
Yeah.
older generation, younger generation, and working class.
That's true.
Right.
And when can we expect the film? In 2020?
We are hoping to release it. We have to talk to media partner, but hopefully we will be releasing it this summer.
Oh, okay. Good luck for that. And well, fingers crossed for what we're going to watch. But coming back to you, I feel like I've actually tapped onto an arena which is much safer than, being a gamble of a rom-com or whatnot. Because I'll tell you what, whenever you do release an animated movie, especially targeting children, there will always be children and there will always be parents looking for a recreational activity. So they will be taking their kids to, theaters and for them to learn something, for them to watch something good. And now I see you coming back with another promising movie this year. Can you tell us something about it?
So the first film that we did
Yeah.
was when we were learning how to make a film.
All right.
So now we are pros,
Okay.
and so there's a huge upgrade. We've switched the genre as well after getting feedback from
Okay.
like the people. I think that I would disagree that, I mean, you're absolutely right, there's always kids. But I think in Pakistan, the trend of going to an animated film is even less than live action
Yes.
films, right? And a lot of people think it's cartoons and it's for kids. So, you know, with animated films, I think one of the bigger problems is that people always they don't want to spend the money
Okay.
in the cinemas, and they would rather wait for it to get pirated
Okay.
on DVDs and online. And so I think that hurts the business a lot.
Of course.
And contrary to popular belief, I think animated films do take a lot more effort to make. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
And so, but we are targeting a niche market.
Yeah.
So we're not sitting in a very comfortable place.
Of
We're
course, I get
sitting
that.
in a
But good luck,
terrible
because I
place.
feel like this is going to be very promising. We do have a very small teaser
first
of
look
this.
teaser, yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look at it, ladies and gentlemen.
And you know, just guessing, you know, because I could see that robot.
Is it gonna be
hand in it
sci-fi
as well.
something?
Is it going
Yeah,
to?
yeah, the genre has been switched. So this film is an action, adventure, sci-fi.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
like
so
it. I
so
like
we're
it
definitely
already.
looking forward to watch it as well. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope that as soon as this film releases as well, you know, we get all of these costumes and everything available on eBay and elsewhere as well, so that people can
Yes.
actually be in that character. Everybody loves it, but I think
Yeah.
it's about time that we ask both the Yassins over here in the studios about their films. But before we do that, we need to go for a short break, give them a little breather, and then come back on a very nicer note. Let's do this. Good morning.
Welcome back to World This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, on a special transmission on Saturday with Shahzad Khan and Shiza Hashmi. And well, we are here today just because we love to celebrate art, to promote art, and today happens to be Global Movie Day, the first of its kind, and we hope to well celebrate it for the next of the years as well.
Exactly.
And we have some amazing movie producers and, you know, directors over here in the studio, and we had actually quite some harsh questions for them, which they dealt very strategically.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with me after the show,
Yeah.
but I think for now I'm safe. But ladies and gentlemen, earlier Tariq Saab and Zaid Saab spoke about their film as well, which are set to be released over here in this year within 2020. But let me move on to Hassan Saab over here. Hassan Saab having all the equipment to make a wonderful film, but yet not tapping on into that industry. I don't know why, but before we do that, he's done quite a lot of good research. The paper's right in my hand, you know, because after the Indian movies, which we're not allowed to play, after the November 2019, there's a lot of space for Pakistani films to fill in. Let's talk about that a little, and then we'll ask him why, you know, when he knows so much about the film and the industry and how it works, why isn't he making a
Why
film?
is he playing safe?
Yeah,
Well, the thing is that
I'm sorry.
we are considering a couple of scripts, and you know they are in pipelines, and probably we'll start making one by next year. But there is a lot of space. As when you call that there is a special show on movies, so I called up the seniors and Nadeem Manviwala Saab and Satish Anand and Rashid Khwaja Saab, and I got some numbers on the industry that, you know, what are the trends, because these things are usually not readily available for all the other producers. producers, although a lot of distributors and well, some senior producers know it, but I found out that from the last almost 5-year history of the current cinema renaissance, we are releasing around 135 films a year. There's a general consensus that there should be around 150 movies a year to actually develop a culture of going to the films, because if there are no movies, then the culture cannot develop. Surprisingly, 2018 was one of the best years Pakistani cinema had, and we had around 171 films released
Oh,
there.
amazing.
But 2019 unfortunately crashed, and we had only 101 films. So that was almost a huge decline, around 40% decline, and hence the revenue decline and everything. So that really one of the reasons was actually that Indian movies were not running, but that triggered actually a sort of a phenomena in the cinemas that 5-6 screens actually got shut down, or maybe running less number of shows and those kind of things, which actually rolls on. Historically, I would like to also share that Pakistani cinema, 55% of the content usually comes from Hollywood. So out of the normally 140 to 150 films we run in a year, around 55% are actually from Hollywood. And traditionally 35%, 33% was Indian content, which is Urdu content, and then we had the local Urdu content, which is Pakistani films, which was around 12-13%. Now there is actually a quantitative deficit. Pakistani films, although we are doing 20 to 25 titles out of 150, so now there's a gap that 65 films have to be Urdu movies, which essentially have to be Pakistani movies. Or maybe a collaborative international with maybe a British Punjabi audience or something from somewhere. Urdu content or Punjabi content has to come into the market. Very interestingly, that on the number side, Pakistani cinemas are 80% are located in Punjab.
Oh wow, okay.
And only 21% are in Sindh, that is primarily Karachi, and a couple of screens in Hyderabad. So that's why when I say Urdu and Punjabi, because there's a lot of audience here, which is actually giving 80% of the revenue of the industry.
Exactly.
So looking at this, there is a lot of possibility for Pakistani producers to come in and make movies and fill the gap. My friendly advice to all producers and fellow, sort of a thing, is that this industry is not yet too big to sustain huge budget films, as Doc very rightly pointed out, that the producer gets 1/3 the revenue. If you spend around 10 crore rupees making a film, you have to do 30 crore sale just to get those 10 crore back after a year.
Just even the break even, not even
just break even. So that's like, it's not really, doesn't make any business sense. An ideal way to go right now is from 3 crore to 5 crore bracket. One shouldn't make a lot of films, because if you're doing 60 films, Pakistani films, you don't need to make them all of 10 crore plus budgets. I think right now our industry can only sustain probably 6 to 8 titles in a year, which are post 10 crore budgets, which will be Eid releases. There are very exciting movies coming out. This Fawad Khan.
We will talk about that, but thank you very much for your opinion. That was great. We have kept the film for us to speak about.
But moving on to you, Dr. Saab, with time, of course, things have to change. Like if we were to look at the Bollywood movies that we used to watch when I was a kid, when my parents used to show me Hum Aapke Hain Kaun types.
She's still a kid,
that was what, 3 or 4 hours long, and people used to sit and watch those. But with time, now we wrap up shooting in 1 year, we have 1.5 hour movies, whatnot. That's amazing. But some Pakistani directors and producers are now venturing into web series, and now literally just dropping movies and venturing into dramas and web series. Do you think that's a better option? Are more people open to it, and are you thinking of that as well?
Jesus, absolutely. The two projects that I was talking about, I'm again the first person to have been greenlit a project at Netflix.
Okay.
So we'll be doing a season, which is an international season.
Wow.
It's not just a Pakistani season. The second, the film project is again an international film. It's not a Pakistani film.
Okay.
So the reason why you have to end up doing it, either you stop doing it, period. That you say, thank you very much. I've destroyed enough of my children's inheritance than to actually even move forward.
Save
Or
some.
if you really want to venture, you want to put some work out there which has a Pakistani perspective. Because it had always been, for me, films were never a source of income or a source of, business.
Right.
For me, it was always to put Pakistani's point of view across, or at least try to put Pakistan, some conversation about
And that's much
Pakistan.
needed, to be honest.
Which they don't realize, but that's the most important thing. In the cinema, the most important thing about cinema is this, that no matter what narrative that you built on television, it can never match cinema.
Okay.
Because when you're sitting in a cinema, you're sitting in a dark room, you're undisturbed, and you're just focused on one thing. So no matter what you say at that particular point in time, and then you've paid money to go and listen to that.
Yeah.
So you're more receptive to what has been told to you when you actually pay money for it. Television you're getting for free, and our habits of watching things have actually completely changed.
Yeah.
As far as advertisement budgets are concerned, you will see that there's a sharp decline in that. So private television stations are, to me, are probably going to be in thick soup in another year or so. They've lost revenues up to about 32%, I think, last year,
Right.
which came out of the budgets, and they actually went on to specifically on towards YouTube,
Okay.
which is brilliant.
Yeah.
To me, I think that's actually brilliant.
It's the need of the hour as well.
No, it's because we never developed industries that never. You would always find idiots like us
Okay.
trying to do something because we are the greater fools. We're trying to do something. I mean, who in their right mind would think that some Pakistani will make an animation film?
Right, right.
I mean, it's way out there. Who would think of making an action film? Again, you don't have the facilities for it. But you would find them. But then you will stop, if you don't preserve them, if you don't help them, you don't support them. Because any industry, you have a certain time period.
Okay.
It's basic maths. That perception will allow you to catch up to it. So if, let's say, all the producers that had made Pakistani films, bad ones, good ones, whatever.
Right.
But if they were supported by this other machinery, which supports every other industry, jo duniya ki great, all the industries in the world that
Yeah.
you find are great, Bollywood, Hollywood, Chinese cinema, Japanese cinema, European cinema, you'd see their entire thought process is actually on one thing and one thing alone.
Yeah.
It's the preservation of the producer. Because if you can preserve the producer, the moment you stopped, when we were talking about earlier about Pakistani cinema decline, the decline was actually not of the cinema, the decline was of the producer.
Okay.
When you started hurting the producer, there won't be an industry.
Yeah, there won't be any production. Of course, I understand that, yes.
And it totally sums up the conversation too, ladies and gentlemen. But obviously, since we, that's what they said, fools in disguise. I mean, that's how I'm going to refer to them as well. But I think that each and every one of them has actually made sure that they're going to do whatever is in their capacity. And that's us being Pakistani. I think
Right.
that's we have always been brought up as well. So we're actually going to wish you best of luck for all of your projects. And yeah, I hope that next time whenever we're going to have this conversation on the second Saturday of the February, it's all smiles and it's all hugs too as well. Thank you very much for joining us. It was wonderful to have you. For all of those people who are out there, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we really need to support. I mean, I think Dr. Saab said the right thing as well, that we really need to preserve the producer as well.
True.
So for all of those people, please make sure that whenever it's the movie time, you really need to take your family and go watch a film. And the films Hassan Naeem Saab was talking about, I've got a list of those films over here, which we kept for ourselves. These are the films, ladies and gentlemen, to look forward to. Money Back Guarantee, Qaid-e-Azam Zindabad, London Nahi Jaunga, one of my favorite actors working in this
Who
film
is?
as well, Gohar, I think, and
Okay.
then The Legend of Maula Jat, and then Neelofer. So, ladies and gentlemen, other than that, thodi setting, thoda pyar. But Uzair Saab is still
The
thinking
secret
about the
movie.
name, so we cannot give it away. Hassan Naeem Saab is planning on film in 2021. Doc is actually working on a season, a Netflix season, which is going to be great. It's an international one and an international film. So best of luck to all of you and for all of those film producers, directors, everybody who's out there who's working day in, day out. And yeah, Mohib Mirza is doing a film too as well, I just thought. So
Okay.
Mohib, yeah, congratulations. I hope that, I think it was from one of his ARG shows. He's taken inspiration from that. Baji or something of that sort as well. I don't know. there was this name he used to have to his character. I think that's what he's working on. So best of luck to everybody, and may you actually get what you want. But let's see, ladies and gentlemen, there's a long road ahead, and I think that we're moving in the right direction.
Absolutely.
That's what counts.
And may Pakistan prosper. If there's anything you need to write to us, or maybe share your favorite movies that you think Shahzad and I need to watch, write on our Facebook page with the name of...
Well, this morning on your television screen just now, yes.
Yeah, on Twitter.
Well, this morning with RG.
Daily Motion on YouTube.
Well, this morning.
And the repeat you can catch
5
at...
past 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good
Good morning.